This is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's family.
All right, the Cardinals coaching carousel is going at hyperspeed right now, and there's one man who is on it. One man who is feeding us information. He's getting it at hyperspeed. He works at hyperspeed. He's one of the hardest working men and people in sports media right now. Howard Balzer zooms in for, I think this is his 400th appearance in the Extra Point. Howard, how are you today, and what's the latest with the Cardinals coaching search?
Doing well, Mark. Great to be with you once again. And yes, this morning was somewhat eventful. And it's interesting because in this business, with 98% of the stuff that gets put out there by, we know who the national guys are. I'll tell you, it feels good sometimes when you get something and you have it out there before they do. So it's funny, a quick story at the Combine last year. There was a writer who I happened to be sitting near, and they were working on a story. I even forget what the story was, but had something to do with the NFLPA, and I think it had something to do with the pandemic and opening, this and that. And all of a sudden, she was a gal, and she tweets something, and she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "What was that all about?" So she said, "I beat Adam Schefter by 1 second," with her tweet. So that's kind of the way it felt. But yeah, getting the info this morning that I think we had all figured that, well, hiring a general manager after a week, and then the news about Brian Flores interviewing, I think we all probably put Sean Payton on the back burner and thinking that there was no way that this was not even going to happen, but not even be an interview. And then all of a sudden I find out, well, tap the brakes because he's going to be interviewing with the Cardinals on Thursday. And this had come right after it had been put out there that he was going to Denver, or at least talking with Denver on Wednesday for a second interview. Subsequently found out that interview has been delayed. So, we'll see where it goes. I always caution everybody, don't get your hopes up too high, but just the fact that he's agreed to talk with Michael Bidwell, and I presume Monty Ossenford is hopefully a positive sign.
Does this come with like a $20-25 million price tag, do you think?
It's going to be a lot of money. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And at the point, at that point, the way I look at it is, whatever it is, does it really matter? Is it 18 million? Is it 15? Is it 20? I mean, when you're talking about this kind of money and the way the NFL teams and the NFL is able to print money, and I know a lot of people don't agree with me. A lot of people say don't give up draft choices. But in my mind, when you can get an accomplished coach like Sean Payton, who knows how to win, also knows how to develop quarterbacks, and sets a certain standard in your organization, you pay the price. Because everything else is a crapshoot. There's no guarantee you win with Sean Payton, but everything else is even more of a dice roll when you're going with a first-time general manager, and now to go with let's say a first-time head coach. Now I know Brian Flores has coached before, but I mean, hey, all you have to do, Mark, is look at the history. And I researched this the other day and found that in the last 5 years there have been 37 head coaching hires in the NFL, the last 5 years, 37, 69 in the last 10 years. And most of them are first-time guys. And that's basically who's available. There's not that many good head coaches available who aren't working for someone. And so, but we saw Doug Peterson, what he meant to the Jaguars this season. So, like I said, I think if you can do that, and people talk about the draft choices, another little stat for you. The 2016 to 2018 drafts, not the 2018 because the last few years is too early, still a little too early to get a read. Those 3 drafts, out of the top 15 players picked, that's the first 5 in each of those years, 5 of those 15 aren't even with the teams that drafted them anymore.
Wow.
That tells me if one player or a couple players in the draft, if you have a head coach, you can make up for that. And that's why I think you got to go for it. Got to go for the brass ring, the gold ring, whichever ring it is that you want to go after. And I think now it's up to Michael Bidwell to see if he can close this deal, because I don't know that you hope that fans won't think, oh, he just did it and he was just doing it to say he tried. Well, hey, trying isn't enough in my mind. If you have the opportunity, you just do what you have to do to get a guy like Sean Payton.
That's some Master Yoda stuff there, by the way. Do or do not. There is no try. So you give up the third pick in the draft then, if you're Michael Bidwell and want to ink Payton to that long-term contract and pay him a bunch of money while you're paying Kyler a bunch of money and Keim a bunch of money and Kingsbury a bunch of money to go away. You think giving up the third pick would be a wise decision in that situation?
I really think it would. And I think one thing you can argue is if the Saints insist on that, and of course there was the Payton interview, recently where he said, well, a mid to late first round draft pick is what the Saints want. Well, then of course it comes out that they want more. Well, if you're giving them number 3, maybe you say, okay, that's it. You don't need any more if you're getting the third pick in the draft. Maybe you throw in something a little bit later. You'd rather keep that third, no question about it. Maybe give up a number 1 next year or something like that. But that's going to be the negotiation with the Saints. But again, in my mind, granted, everyone says, well, that's an elite player. That's a franchise changer. And yes, sometimes those guys are, but sometimes they're not. And so I think that you just move on from it. And yes, it could be a great player, but you're getting, again, a proven, excellent coach. I know some have said, well, he only got to 1 Super Bowl with all those years with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, sometimes I think, Mark, that people don't realize how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl. How many coaches have been to multiple Super Bowls? There's not very many, obviously. And so the bottom line is you want a coach to have a program put together that gives you the chance to get there. That every season that you have a really good chance of getting in the postseason, and once that happens, anything can happen.
Yeah,
and I think that is what a game changer a head coach can be. And if you get there once, you get there. Who knows? But at least you have that chance to get there.
Yeah, and if not for a bad call and a great play by Stephon Diggs, he might have been playing in 3 Super Bowls. So you think, what does it look like this week? So you say Payton's going to be here in person on Thursday. It was delayed in Denver. What other information are you picking up out there, and when do you expect to have a decision here from the Cardinals?
Well, obviously the decision will be from Payton, and obviously there's a lot of moving pieces to it. There's the contract with Payton. There's the compensation to the Saints. I would think, I don't know if this week is going to be the magic week. Certainly it could be, next week, which of course is the empty week in the NFL between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. But I think the real key is, and I wrote about this today, is that Sean Payton holds the cards here. He doesn't have to coach this year. And to me, the money, I'm not saying he doesn't want a lot of money, obviously, but is it going to matter to him if he's making 20 or 22? I think that he wants to go to the right fit, the right team that he feels gives him the best chance to be successful and win. That's what it's all about when you become a head coach. You want to win. You want that joy. I'll say this, that this might very well be his last go-around. I mean, he's 59 years old, and it's hard to imagine him coaching again after this, however many years it is, wherever he coaches. And to get in the Hall of Fame, he probably needs to get to maybe 1 more Super Bowl, or at least have a lot of sustained success with a franchise. But again, I think it comes down to the owner, that he feels comfortable with the owner. And I think Michael Bidwell probably has some selling to do, because let's be honest, this is not necessarily an organization that has a great history, of winning and being patient with coaches and keeping them around for the long haul. So I think this one is Michael Bidwell has to sell Sean Payton, not Sean Payton sell Michael Bidwell. And I think he wants to feel that this is the right fit, the right organization that can have him be successful. And I think that will be the big key to all of this. But I think he's looked at Denver. Well, you don't really know that much about the owners. It's a blank slate. They haven't been owners very long. Houston, to me, that's a mess. And Carolina, I mean, that's an owner that's committed, no question about it. So you can't minimize anyone, but I think Michael Bidwell has to sell Sean Payton on the fact that this is the best place for him to continue his head coaching career.
And I do wonder if it's going to come out that they've been buddies all along from their days as ball boys with the St. Louis Cardinals back in the day, and they've been texting, and who knows, just with that. Well, maybe you were there. Were you there covering the St. Louis Cardinals when Sean Payton was a ball boy?
No, I was not. That was it was St. Louis days, of course, but it was pre when I got to St. Louis, and they were training at Eastern Illinois university where Payton attended. And so, no, I was not covering the team then. I was not in St. Louis then. But yeah, he mentioned that. Obviously, who knows how much that truly means. But he's doing research, and he knows what the Cardinals are. He knows the history, and the general manager. I think that all these other teams have general managers. They don't have first-time general managers. I think that this will be a great move for Monty Ossenford also to convince Sean Payton that, hey, we will get you the players you need and you will have the input. And Sean Payton can bring all of his experience to this and help Monty in his first year as a general manager and putting together a staff and all those things that he has to do. And boy, if I'm Monty Ossenford, I'm thinking, yeah, I like Brian Flores. I know him from New England, all these other coaches, but that would be a pretty good stamp on my career as a general manager if Sean Payton is, and you end up being obviously very successful.
All right, and last question for you. I'm sure you got to get back to emails and phone calls. How many emails and phone calls does it take to get one tweet that says breaking and sends Arizona sports into a frenzy? What's the over-under on how many times you had to go to your phone to get that piece of information today?
Oh my God! I mean, it was pinging all day. I mean, it's pretty crazy with all the retweets and the likes, and I don't know how they figure out impressions. I don't know if that's real or not. Because the last thing I checked, they said, believe it or not, that there were 832,000 impressions. How do they gauge that? I don't even know how accurate that is. But yeah, it's been busy. It's been an interesting day, and how one little one-sentence tweet can generate so much. But hey, this is a chaotic period all around the NFL. It's only 5. A lot of people are a little, what's the word? Wondering why it's, no team has a head coach yet. Well, there's only 5 teams, and no one's hired that first coach yet. And I think Sean Payton is driving a little bit of that, because a team's certainly not going to go out there and hire a head coach before they know what Sean Payton's going to do. You certainly want to hire someone, and then Sean Payton says, hey, I really wanted a coach there. So certainly that's slowing it a little bit, but still, it's only been 2 weeks since the end of the regular season. I think once the first domino falls, it'll probably be relatively quickly, but I always say that, hey, just take a deep breath, relax, as Aaron Rodgers once famously said. All of this will be taken care of, but I know right now that the Red Sea and the Cardinals fans are hoping that this one really happens, because they certainly, after this, they don't want to be let down and be disappointed, which certainly could happen, and there's no doubt about it. So that's why I say don't have too high expectations, but all hope that it works out for the best for everyone.
That's my motto in life, especially with me. Don't have too high of expectations. Hey, we will be monitoring your Twitter with bated breath, waiting for your next piece of information. Thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure always, Mark. Take care.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.